to episode number 4 of Chit Chat, and I am honored today to have our Secretary of Juvenile Justice, Eric Hall, here. He was appointed in December of 2021, and we have forged a really strong relationship. We're like-minded in getting things done here in the juvenile justice system, and today he's here with us as we opened up our brand new juvenile assessment center / family reunification center.
I just want to say thank you to everyone that helped make this vision possible. As I'm going to say Chief Chitwood, because that's how far we go back. We started this in 2011, trying to get this off the ground. And here we are as Sheriff Chitwood in 2022, seeing our vision become a reality.
Well, I guess if you're patient, as the good Lord says, good things will happen. And now we're about to open up this resource center. And Senator Wright, as I said, he can herd cats, which is amazing. You try to get all of us together in one room, DJJ, DCF, the school board, police chiefs, you name it. But Senator Wright was able to strong arm and get us all in one room so that we can get where we are today. And I know we're in SEC territory, but really what the motto here is an ACC one. The A is for accountability. When we arrest somebody and they're brought here, these kids need to be held accountable. But so do we. So do we in law enforcement, so does DJJ, so does every provider that's in there. We have to be accountable too. C is for collaboration. We all have to collaborate. This isn't Mike Chitwood and Carla. This isn't DJJ. This isn't SMA. This is all of us in that building doing what needs to be done to help that person that came through that door. And the last C is change. We want to be able to provide them with change.
With the help of County Council, we were able to purchase this building out here on 92, the old United Way building. In 90 days, they remodeled it. And every service provider that is imaginable that deals with juvenile justice is in this building. From mental health to family and individual counseling, crisis intervention, wraparound services, truancy issues, and substance abuse issues. So whenever law enforcement comes in contact in the county, that youth is brought to this building for a screening before they move forward into the system. So I'm going to get right down to it. The Secretary is an extremely busy man, and I think it says a lot that the Secretary is here and shows what a priority this is for the juvenile justice system. So what is your philosophy, and as the Secretary, what are you looking to push?
Well, first of all, Sheriff, I want to say thank you for, your vision and this center and everything that's happening. When I came on last year, I know one of the first visits I had was down here to Volusia and to spend time with you and your team and really get to understand, what you're seeing at the local level. What are the things that we need to be thinking about in Tallahassee so that we can best support and work hand in hand with our law enforcement leaders to, strengthen public safety. And I think when you look at opportunities like this, where you can have so many partners come together under one roof, to support the screening of our youth, to be able to connect youth and families to the services they need, that's really for us. That's what public safety is all about, is how do you prevent and redirect our kids early on and get them connected to the resources that remove those barriers to their long-term success. And if we can do that earlier, then the more success we're going to have long-term. I think having a center like this, again, for us, we have, some juvenile assessment centers around the state, and they all vary, but I think when you have one like this, where you have so many partners right under one roof, and be able to get those families connected, quickly, when needed, and balancing that with the accountability that our young people need to ensure that they understand that sometimes the choices they make, while yes, may have been a bad choice, doesn't have to define them for the rest of their life. But at the same time, immediate accountability for those actions and behaviors helps to make sure that they recognize that, let's get back on track, let's stay on track, and go forward and do long-term things that are going to be productive for them and their family. So again, for us, when you ask about my philosophy, I think my philosophy is aligned with yours when it comes to putting, things like this together and having a vision that brings, state and local resources, as partners to do the work that we need to do.
I think that's what I said in my remarks. I know there's a lot of SEC fans that are watching this, but it's ACC for us. It's accountability, collaboration, and change is what I think, and that applies to everybody that comes through the door here. You do have a connection to Volusia County. I mean, I think it would be nice if you told our folks that this isn't a strange place to you.
It is not. So, years ago, I was actually here when we got the first AMI Kids Volusia County program up and running. So was here, and I cut my teeth on juvenile justice, so I started on the front lines working with kids and spent the first 16 years of my career working at a local, state, and national level in the areas of juvenile justice. And, being able to come back here and see how the program is still going and the resources that are here. And again, an example, here with the Resource Center, again, I think things are positioned very well here in Volusia to continue to grow and evolve and do things that are going to be transformative for the kids and the families here in this area.
We're excited. And again, what is your message to the kids or the families who come through these doors? And some may be a little skeptical about, what law enforcement is trying to do here.
Yeah, if I was talking to and I look at it this way, I've got 2 kids of my own, so if God forbid I was in a situation where I'm having to come through the doors and be able to have my kids, potentially, take advantage of resources, I think the biggest thing you can say is look, take advantage of the opportunities that you have in front of you. This is not walking through the doors of a juvenile prison. This is walking through with resources. This is walking through trying to make sure we understand what are your barriers to the success of your child, or the barriers that you as the child yourself might be facing that we need to overcome. And I think anytime you can position people to understand that it's about opportunities and it's not about, judgment, it's not about, putting up barriers, it's about the opposite of that, which is about building relationships and using those relationships to create change. It goes back to your ACC model. Yes, it's accountability, but you put that with the collaboration and how that comes together to create change. That's what this is all about. And I think that's what parents and our young kids, they need to hear that. They need to understand that law enforcement is here as a partner to help support them in their success. And that success around public safety is about putting the supports and the resources in the right place at the right time. And that's what this center is really, positioned to do. And I think that's what our kids and our families that are coming through the doors here, that's what they really need to understand.
Yeah, and some people have the misnomer that this is like a secure facility. This is where the cops or the deputies are taken when you're going to be held here, juvenile justice. So it's really not the sheriff's office. It's
right.
All the partners that we have in this building that are going to make it a success.
Completely agree. And I think that's where, again, the vision that you've had for this, when you shared that with me a year ago, and to be here today and to see how it's come together, it is about having those partners at the table and connecting kids and families to those resources. And for kids that, might come through this center and find themselves having to go to the detention center, it's the same thing, because if we can connect them to the resources while they're sitting in the detention center, when they come back out, they're going to be coming back out at some point in time. For the kids that do end up in the secure center, they're going to come back out. But if we can connect them to those resources, it's going to deter their long-term, potential further engagement in the system. It's also about kids in that situation as well.
Yep. Amen. I'm sure you've seen a lot in your career, whether in education or in your role with juvenile justice. What is the biggest change that you've noticed in our younger generation?
Wow. I think, and I'm not sure it's any one particular thing, but when you look at the access to information, and sometimes it's the right information, sometimes it's the wrong information, you look at social media and the impacts I think that has on our young people today. I think sometimes we find ourselves trying to work to change the narrative that our young people are getting exposed to. And so I think it's countering some of those false beliefs about what's really, real for a risk, for our kids, and pushing back against that. We're seeing some kids now that, unfortunately are younger and starting to involve in some of those antisocial behaviors that, are going to put them on a pathway into the juvenile system or beyond. And if we can get down to those younger kids and be able to help them understand early on about the opportunities that exist when they stay in school, they graduate, they get into a career and be able to accomplish their goals and dreams. If we can get down to that 12, 13-year-old that's at that critical,
Right.
point in time,
Yeah.
we can change that trajectory for them and put the right resources in place. That's what I'm saying. We got to make sure that we inject early on where we can, change that trajectory. And I think that's what I'm seeing a little bit more with some of our kids today, is that some of them are they're getting too much negative information. And it's really, I think it's unfortunate, because it clouds their ability to understand what the real opportunities are, and can be. Commissioner Corcoran, former Commissioner of Education, one of the things he always said is, the most dangerous person in the world is a person with no hope. And we've got to get down to where our kids that are at that point of losing hope,
Right.
we got to get in there quickly and be able to balance that with the mental health needs, the other supports and services that exist here in this local community.
Yeah, that's excellent. That is, I really like that quote. So I got to tell you, from me to you, Governor DeSantis chose very well when he put you into this position. For those of you who never met the Secretary, doesn't know what the Secretary of Juvenile Justice does, we have somebody who is forward-thinking and is extremely passionate, as you could tell, about what he does for a living and what he wants to do for the state of Florida. I'm going to give you the final word on this. Is there anything you want to leave our viewers with?
Well, Sheriff, I would just tell you again, I'll kind of wrap up the way I started. I want to thank you truly for your leadership and your vision around this work. I know I didn't have the ability to know what it looked like 16 years ago when you started those conversations, but I know what it was a year ago. And to be able to fast forward that to today, again, less than a year, to see that the doors are open, kids are coming in to get services, and that the community now has a resource that it didn't have, just a few days ago. But it's here, it's happening. And so I want to thank you for your leadership, your team, and all the partners that are under this roof. They're going to make great things happen for our kids and our families. And at the Department of Juvenile Justice, we're just proud and honored to be a partner with you in this work.
Well, we didn't do it alone. County Council used ARPA funds to purchase this building and remodel the building. There were two champions on County Council, Barb Gertman and Danny Robbins, who, when they knew what I wanted to do, they said, this is needed. We're gonna fund this for you. And then, of course, Senator Wright, who herded every social service agency and got us at the table for multiple meetings to figure how we're going to run with this thing. And then of our director, Carla Kwan, who has been with me since I've been in Daytona Beach, and as the sheriff, her passion for trying to divert kids out of that delinquency is just good stuff. And again, to have you here has been spectacular.
Sheriff, thank you.
So I thank you for tuning in. May God bless each and every one of you. Have a great Thanksgiving. And we're excited about the changes we're bringing here to Volusia County. With the help of the Secretary, we're going to be the leaders of the other 67 counties in the state of Florida. So God bless you and your families, and God bless this great country. Happy Thanksgiving.